The Mets season came crashing to a close on Sunday as they were beaten by the Florida Marlins 8-1, while the Phillies beat the Nationals 6-1. The Phillies claimed the National League East crown that appeared for so long to belong to the Mets. And this one was over very early. Tom Glavine and his 303 wins took the mound, and the Marlins sent him packing before the first inning was over.
Boy, he did. He only got one out, and Cabrera led this Florida Marlin attack. They just hit pitches that were good pitches, bad pitches, just moved the ball around the field, scored 7 runs. They used an error by Glavine to score Cody Ross, and by that time, I think this was the biggest at-bat in that first inning, hitting Dontrell Willis.
And at the time Dan Uggla finished the inning against Jorge Sosa, it was 7-0 Florida. The Mets left 8 runners on base in the first 3 innings and really never had a chance after that. And then they could only watch the scoreboard and hope, but the Nationals did them no favors. And so the Mets season ends. They had a 7-game lead with 17 games to play. And by many measures, this is the worst collapse in the history of Major League Baseball, and certainly as disappointing a season as the Mets have ever had. And I guess the question is, what happens now?
Well, I think there's got to be – you can't make decisions rapidly now. You've got to sit back, let the dust settle. I'm sure Omar Minaya will do that. Take a month and then make decisions on what he wants to do. But this is a stigma that's going to be attached to this team forever. And I think you can't bring a lot of people back. There's got to be some major changes made in this ball club.
And justly so. I think that 12 is going to take a big hit. Willie Randolph, of course, for this. And, listen, you can put your athletes in position to thrive, and sometimes they don't. I think what they're going to have to do upstairs, though, is at some point, like you said, Keith, when the dust settles, how did this happen at the end of the year? What were the things in place that did not come through when they're supposed to come through? Once you get those answers, then you try to make those adjustments.
Certainly there was the appearance all year with this team that they felt they could turn it on and turn it off when they needed to. They were in first place from the middle of May until late September, but when they really needed to turn it on late, the ignition switch just wasn't working.
Well, it's difficult to do unless you're a club like the 70 A's or the Red Machine or the Lumber Company, and those guys didn't turn it off and on. They burned it from game 1 to game 62. So maybe there's on the horizon a sun shining, that it's a lesson learned that you have to go out there every day and from game 1 to game 162 and put that solid effort out and take nothing for granted. A lot of young players in this team. The crux of the main group of this team, the groupings, the Wrights, the Reyes, the Beltrons, they're going to hopefully learn from this, and this is a mighty lesson, a terrible lesson. This is a fall that I would not wish on my worst enemy.
The lesson is, to me, is that they're going to have to, I think, to a man, this winter, look in the mirror and decide what kind of player they want to be, what kind of player they want to represent, and do they want a world championship? Because I think they have the pegs in place to have a team that can be a world championship team. Do they want it? We'll see when they look in the mirror this winter.
So the Mets finished the season at 88-74. They finished in second place, 1 game behind first place Philadelphia. No postseason baseball for the Mets in 2007. We'll be back for 2008. We'll join you from Port St. Lucie on SNY and CW11. Until then, Gary, Keith, and Ron, we had a pleasure working together, and thank you for tuning in.